Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24 related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
When I saw Dick Dale, he is playing a song, and he'll just launch into another song without a set list. So his band doesn't actually know what song he's going to launch into. And he explained midway through the set, it's actually because I'm old and I don't remember how the songs end. So when I forget what's supposed to come next, I just go into another song.
That's brilliant, right?
That is so beautiful.
I
Chris,
love
I gotta
Dick
tell
Dale.
you, I don't know. From day one, I don't know why you don't just start immediately. The minute you see all screens, just start taping and then ask permission if it's okay. But the last 30 minutes is its own podcast.
That's true. And look, I mean, to be fair, this is the Kulturecast. It's not day one anymore. This is day 439 episodes in. And I'm joined by Richard and Cullen, and we're about to talk about Lucky Lady. And Richard realized what was coming, and then he stopped himself. But I am joined by Cullen. I am joined by Richard. We are talking Burt Reynolds once again. We are not joined by Jess. Jess is unfortunately dealing with some audio stuff on her end.
I hope
Richard.
she's okay.
No, Jess didn't want to be on the air with me. I get it.
It's true.
That's fine, but I am hurt, and I want her to know that I am hurt.
I will have to reach out separately because I was really hoping she would talk about her new project, the Baby Oopsie movie. Because
Baby Oopsie.
I didn't know about demonic toys until a few months ago. My girlfriend and her friends have a horror movie series that they watch. It was a Charles Band film from the late 80s, early 90s about demonic toys. And one of the demonic toys was Baby Oopsie, who has a really foul mouth. And it was a fan favorite. This character is fucking amazing. And we flipped out to find out that there's more demonic toys movies. And then we just learned there's going to be a new Baby Oopsie movie. And then I see through Facebook that Jess is involved with this, I believe, as assistant director. And I'm like, oh my God.
I know, right?
I'm so happy. And I can't wait. I'm very excited.
The world is a small place, Cullen, isn't it?
It is wonderful.
That story took so many turns, and then it ends with, I saw on Facebook that Jess is involved with Baby Oopsie.
So I am thrilled for Jess, and we'll have to, outside of this podcast, convey my excitement.
You like Baby Oopsie, Richard?
I don't know what it is, but if Jess wants to call me up and tell me what it is,
what is it? Tell me more about Baby Oopsie.
you will like Baby Oopsie.
Yeah, it's a baby doll that kills people
and tells amazing jokes.
This is Talking Tina for the modern age.
Well, for the character goes back to 30 years.
Yeah, the character's from the 80s.
Yeah, but you remember Talking Tina from Twilight Zone with Telly Savalas, the doll.
I need to watch that episode. I haven't seen that one.
Oh my God! This is the episode. This is one of the class. Well, I mean, every Twilight Zone is a classic episode, but there's a classic episode where Telly Savalas plays sort of the mean stepdad to and the woman he's married has a daughter who's 9 or whatever, and she gets this doll. It's actually called Talkie Tina, Talky, Talkie Tina. And so Talkie Tina is this cute doll, but he's in a bad mood and he's had a couple drinks or whatever. And then she leaves the doll on the couch and goes up to bed because he's been yelling at the mom, and the girl goes up and she's upstairs crying. And he feels bad, but he's kind of a bad guy. And he looks over and he sees the doll on the couch and he picks up the doll. Hey, Talkie Tina. Yeah, terrific. What do you got to say, Talkie Tina? He pulls the string and she goes, my name's Talkie Tina, and I don't think I like you.
My God.
Okay, you can see where this is going.
Nice.
This sounds great. It was directed by Richard Sarafian.
Oh, yeah.
Holy wow.
It was deftly parodied in The Simpsons. One of the best Simpsons Treehouse of Horror gags of all time.
Of course.
Richard Sarafian also directed Burt Reynolds in The Man Who Loved Cat Dancing.
And on this episode of the Kulturecast, we're talking about a Burt Reynolds. Look at that, all the way back. Thank you for that, Cullen. Cullen, I want to get this out of the way and up front. Lucky Lady is it your favorite movie?
It is. I have a top 6, and this is number 2. For reference, I can give you the other 5.
Yeah, let's
Please.
So the 4 below it, I don't have order for. It's Every Which Way But Loose, Emperor of the North, Hard Times, and Smokey and the Bandit. And number 1 is Meet Me in St. Louis.
Wow.
Wait, so these are favorite movies of all time.
Correct.
Just they're not favorite Burt Reynolds movies, even though there's a couple of Burt Reynolds movies.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
I was about to say, there's definitely another Burton Reynolds film in that lineup.
Yep. But those are my 6 favorite movies of all time.
Hard Times. Which Hard Times are we talking about?
Charles Bronson and James Coburn.
I am learning more and more about Cullen by watching these movies. I tell you.
Isn't that what this show's about? It's not really about the movies. It's kind of about, just the experience.
It's a look inside Cullen. It's learning about Cullen.
Well, that is why I picked this one, Richard, actually. I've mentioned this before, Chris, I really appreciate it. I think it's very sweet that you've asked me to pick movies for it. And something I tried to do was to pick movies that I love, but also say something about me. And the example I would give is that if someone was to list their favorite movies, I think there needs to be some sort of a curveball, something a little off the beaten path that says something about the person. Like, if you say you love Citizen Kane, that's a great movie. No one is going to disagree with you. Even the people that don't like the movie will agree it's an important movie. And so for me, I think Lucky Lady is a movie that does not have it wasn't really that well received when it came out. It hasn't been reevaluated. It's not to my knowledge, there's no cult. If there is a cult of Lucky Lady, I would like to receive an invitation. But I watched it again today. It just makes me so fucking happy. But I think this, more than the other movies in my list, gives a glimpse into me and my tastes and who I am. So that is a version of why I picked this movie.
This is the year 20th Century Fox is bringing back Prohibition.
Oh, whoopee!
Gene Hackman, Liza Minnelli, and Burt Reynolds as Kibby, Walker, and Claire.
Well, ain't we all the aces?
A spunky dame.
Watch it, Buster!
A snazzy dude.
And you're dancing with the slickest guy in the joint.
and a tough customer.
You just step a little closer to the microphone. I didn't catch what you were saying.
Who had some high times running rum aboard the Lucky Lady.
These men offered your captain a bribe. You know what to do. You shoot them both on my command.
You can't get away with that. I wouldn't make him mad.
Fire, damn it! You missed it, Totterhead! Adios, Mugly! Adios!
They didn't exactly hit it off at the start.
Who's here, Dave?
What do you think of that?
Maybe it'll keep the woodpeckers off.
Hi, you missed it, I say!
But pretty soon, everything was Jake.
Would you rather sleep down here tonight?
You and him down there fooling around. She was getting lonely. She never gets lonely because she's got me.
I'm a sucker for a pretty face.
The rum was running.
Boy, is he going to be peeved when he finds out we took the booze, huh? It's prime stuff.
And the dough was flowing.
I just want to spend as much time being rich as I did being poor.
Hollywood trash.
They were on their way to Easy Street.
We look very high-toned. Can't tell us from the real people.
They had some close shaves.
They're moving off fast. Well, that don't mean they're coming after us. Go for the gas drum on the deck. What? The gas drum on the deck!
And a few bad scrapes.
I think we're losing them.
Every man for himself. Ladies first.
But through it all, they had each other.
Holy cow, and while she has her back, tired to see where you've been. Let's have a splash. Pour out the cash. Gloriousky, hallelujah, Lordy Lucy, leaping lizards. Are you both all right?
No, we're not all right.
Gene Hackman, Liza Minnelli, and Burt Reynolds in Stanley Donen's Lucky Lady.
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Hello, this is Chris Haskell from They Live by Film. For those that don't know us, Adam, Zach, and I, we built a podcast over the last 2 years that's a combination of film discussion from 3 very different perspectives, as well as industry interviews with the leaders in boutique Blu-ray and 4K community. We started with Dev Crocodile, but over time we've been lucky enough to speak with Arrow Video, Severin, Mondo Macabro, Vinegar Syndrome, Radiance, Indicator, most of the OCN partner labels. It's been a blast. You can find us wherever you podcast, and also actually recently as part of Someone's Favorite Production Podcast Network. We hope to see you online.
We should start with Cullen sort of taking us through what the film and what it is about it that strikes him. What are those things about it, and then that'll sort of give us a road in.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm game with that. So for anyone that's listening to the podcast that has not seen it, which is probably a lot of people, I don't know. If you have seen it, then thank you for watching it. I hope you liked it. Liza Minnelli, her lover, Harry, has died. She's now singing in it's the Depression, it's Prohibition, but she's in Mexico singing at a cabaret. Burt Reynolds decides to step in and pick up where Harry left off and help her make money by running people across the border. He is really terrible at his job, so terrible, and he wears a blinding white suit, so he's impossible to miss. One of the people he's running across the border is Gene Hackman, and Gene Hackman gets him out of a spot when it goes bad, and then the three of them decide to become bootleggers running liquor across the border. They also wind up having a interesting love triangle with Liza calling the shots. And that is essentially the plot of the movie, them trying to be bootleggers, and they're not very good at it. The reason I love this movie is, to me, it is funny as hell. It has a lot of pre-code, sort of slapstick screwball comedies elements. It's like watching a Looney Tunes cartoon. At one point, Gene Hackman is in a boat with an oar as the Border Patrol Coast Guard, Jeffrey Lewis, has a machine gun shooting at the boat, and the boat is sinking as he's just swimming with the oar. Like, that is straight up Bugs Bunny. The movie is also directed by Stanley Donen. And so for me, I love the way it sort of shifts between, cool, we're going to be like a slapstick screwball comedy. Oh, it's going to be a bit of a romantic comedy. Now we're going to have some weird, like, bootlegging humor. Oh, now it's going to get hard-boiled, like Little Caesar, and it's going to be about gangsters, and it's going to be machine guns, and people are actually going to die. Chris and Richard, as you have learned from other podcasts about, like, A Rage in Harlem, I really like those sort of unexpected tonal shifts. And this movie has a lot of those. So that, in a nutshell, is sort of like the beginning of why I like this movie. We can get into the humor more, beginning with Liza going, uno, dos, three, four, which just slays me every time when she's on stage, because Tres Cuatro is not that difficult. But she goes uno, dos, three, four with a charm that only Liza has. My God. Liza, I adore Liza. She is remarkable in this movie with her dialogue, with her singing. She has a spirit. And also that line just kind of says something about the characters. They're not very bright. And I like the movie that the movie doesn't pretend that they're bright. They fumble through this. By miracles, they're not massacred by bullets. Somehow they survive.
Right. Yes. So, Cullen, remind me, is this movie post-Cabaret or pre-Cabaret?
This is the first movie Liza makes, the first feature, like, live-action movie Liza makes after Cabaret.
So it's okay. So it's Cabaret, this movie, and then for my money, because I haven't seen New York, the next
New York is great.
Okay, but for me, Arthur is the next great Liza Minnelli movie.
And then there's Rent-A-Cop with Burt Reynolds, which is also quite wonderful.
We're reuniting the. Is Gene Hackman also in Rent-A-Cop?
No, that would have been great though.
Okay, all right, okay. Well, I think Cullen did a great job of sort of summarizing the plot, the essential plot and tone of the movie. The only other thing I would say about the tone for someone who hasn't seen it and is curious what to expect is that this movie is also 2 years after The Sting.
Yes.
And its influence is felt. Am I right?
Oh, 100%.
It shows that influence on the poster. It's like that imagery, like that evokes The Sting, the look, the costuming, right? I mean, it's not a bad thing. The Sting is an amazing film, right? Like, no one is going to sit here and say The Sting is a bad movie. So there are worse films to
phenomenon.
kind of, right? There are worse films to draw influence from than The Sting.
Oh yeah. I would I think Cullen brings up one of my main observations about the movie that I may not on first watch have been as comfortable with, which is the sort of searching for a consistent tone. And I'm talking about myself, like watching the movie going, okay, well, what am I watching here? You know, am I watching The Sting? Am I watching Nickelodeon? Am I watching something else that I'm not sure about yet? And it taking a little while to sort of learn the tonal grammar of the film. I will say I liked the movie more as it went and probably ended at my highest point of enjoying the movie, because by then I feel like it had sort of either it had settled into itself or I had kind of figured out what its range was and was comfortable within those parameters. Chris, what were your first impressions?
You know, Cullen, I had never seen this before, obviously. Otherwise, I would have told you by now. So there's that. What's funny for me with a movie like this is I felt like I had the same response that you did, Richard. I got excited when I started watching it because, I mean, again, getting to see Gene Hackman and Burt Reynolds and Liza Minnelli together is fun. And then I kind of watching it was like a rage in Harlem for me, Cullen. And you hit the nail on the head. Like, it's just kind of all over the place tonally. The movie itself makes sense. There are no like logic leaps. There's no anything that feels.
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Hello and welcome to Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys. My name is Hunter. In this podcast, I'll be joined by a different guest each week to discuss a classic Western movie or TV show. I've been a fan of classic Westerns for as long as I can remember, and in recent years, they've become very nostalgic for me. I love the aesthetic, the tropes, and I love seeing different filmmakers' takes on them. At their best, they're incredibly entertaining, rewatchable, and some of my all-time favorite movies are Westerns. We'll mostly focus on Western movies made in Hollywood, but we'll also be covering spaghetti Westerns, and one thing I'm very excited to get into are Western TV shows. I've got some amazing guests coming on the show, film professors, historians, and podcasters. And Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys is part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, and many guests on the show will be from other shows on the network. Thanks for listening.
Out of place from a storytelling and narrative structure, it makes sense. But it's a tonally all over the place, which again is fine. That doesn't make a movie good or bad.
And we should mention the writers since we're talking about it. Gloria Katz and Willard Huyck, who did The Amazing Messiah of Evil, that early 70s, really amazing like indie horror movie. They wrote American Graffiti.
They wrote Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, my favorite of the Indiana Jones films, I know.
And yet tonally all over the fucking place.
Yeah, Indiana Jones Temple of Doom is the most tonally all over the place of all of the Indiana Jones movies.
And I hadn't thought about this before, but I would say like American Graffiti and Messiah of Evil kind of have these like episodic structures, sort of like Lucky Lady does.
Yeah. This movie is very episodic. Like you could watch parts of this movie almost removed from the entire narrative, because the first half of the movie and the second half of the movie are talking about two different things, kind of. One, you're getting to a point, and then the second half of the movie is how they go from that point, but they almost feel like episodic in nature, which I don't dislike. I actually kind of like it. It's a storytelling style that in this day and age gets lost, which I think could make a comeback, because when every movie is seemingly 2 fucking hours now, this is a nice way to make a 2-hour movie. You kind of just make almost 2 movies.
I want to hear what Richard says, and I have a comment about what you're saying too, Chris. So, Richard, you first.
I want to jump in about the screenplay and comment that something that I do often is when I'm watching a movie, unconsciously something will happen in this story, and I'll just grab the remote and hit pause and look at what time it is in the movie, just to see how the movie is sort of playing its structure. And, okay, so typically, if a movie is 2 hours, let's say, you sort of divide it into half-hour sections. The end of the first half hour, that's sort of you've seen Act 1, and now you're into, okay, we know what's going on. Now we're on the road. And then maybe another big event happens. You hit it 60 minutes, and then 90 minutes. Or you can break it down into 15-minute quadrants. This movie is flawlessly structured. Every time a major event happened, I hit it, and I would literally almost to the minute. It's like, well, okay, so it's headed somewhere. I get the feeling, and it's funny you bring up Temple of Doom. I like Stanley Donen sometimes, and other times I'm like, what in the name of God is he doing? And so often when I'm watching a movie, I'm like, okay, but what if this was directed by this person instead of that person? Or what if it was, instead of that actor, what if it was another actor, based on what I think the movie is going for. All right. Having said all that, I don't think Stanley Donen was the strongest director in terms of wrangling the tone or putting the audience at their ease that this was going to be a wide tonal palette, but just relax and sit back. You don't need to worry about anything. I think he nails the screwball comedy tone. Absolutely. What was a little bit unclear to me, and look, you've got three of the most charismatic actors of all time. Okay. So they're taking care of themselves. Still, I would have appreciated, especially with Liza Minnelli, a little bit more. Liza Minnelli had an opportunity in this movie, in my opinion, to be kind of the center of gravity, both romantically and motivationally. If she had made a decision as an actress, I think, to decide, I can be ditzy, I can be silly, but God damn it, my character is about one thing. And that one thing is, what? Is it cutthroat business interests? I am going to get rich, my friends. And I don't care who I'm going to screw over or screw. It's going to happen. And I can be fun, but don't fuck me, because I'm going to get that money. Could have been that. Sort of that. Not totally that.
No, not at all.
Or was it love? Yeah. Well, I mean, but she was the one at a certain point of the movie who was, at least on paper, still pushing for, let's go one more round.
Oh, yeah.
Was it love? Was it all for Harry? Was it Harry's dream was this? Was it for Harry's place? Was it like, guys, this was great, but I need $500,000 so I can buy Harry's place and turn it into the place we always wanted it to be. And then welcome to the end of the movie when Harry's place reopens and it's amazing or whatever. And then it's that movie. Because I'm telling you, Burt Reynolds plays a role unlike any I have ever seen him play. He plays a naif, and you never see him play a naif. And that's what he was playing. I
love the scene when they're on the boat.
Oh, here we go.
They're trying to get out, and he's gathering up the pillow and the blanket, and he's like, oh, I'm going to go sleep on the deck. And meanwhile, Liza Minnelli's in her negligee, and he just can't look at her. And she even comments like, we've slept together. Like, why are you stealing glances at me? And he's trying to be a little coy, like, oh, sometimes it's a little more exciting to steal a glance. And finally, she's like, what the hell? Why don't you just sleep with me tonight? And he drops everything, and he's like, great. And I love the fact that Burt Reynolds, who is Mr. Suave, and who even within the context of this movie, thinks he's such hot shit that he's like, early on, he's like, yeah, I can do this, smuggle people across the border. And Liza says, well, what's the guy's name we got to meet? I forget. His name's Buddy. How do you forget Buddy? Hey, Buddy. It's the easiest thing. He's terrible at he thinks he's suave, but he's dumb, overly confident. Again, he wears white when you're smuggling people in the middle of the night. So I love the fact that even despite all of this, and despite that he's had relations with Liza before, he's still so shy that he, has to have her initiate. And it comes off sincere.
Yes. And it's fascinating to see Burt Reynolds just make a decision. I'm going to play this character, in a very un-Burt Reynolds way. He's literally deconstructing. Well, I don't know if he's deconstructing his persona because I don't know how strong it was, but I will tell you this. It's the opposite.
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Have you ever wanted to dive deeper into the horror movies you love? Beyond the Blood is a horror podcast for fans who want more than just surface-level screams. We do deep dives into the movies that shaped us, digging into director commentaries, behind-the-scenes stories, deleted scenes, and the special features that most people skip. Each episode is a love letter to the genre. We break down how these films were made, the creative risks that paid off or didn't, and the lasting impact they've had on the genre as a whole. From 70s slashers to modern nightmares, we celebrate the craft, chaos, and characters that keep us coming back. If you're the kind of fan who rewatches movies with the commentary on, or you simply grew up in the video store horror aisle, the Beyond the Blood podcast was made for you. New episodes every single week. Subscribe, let's dig deep. Welcome to the Beyond the Blood podcast.
Smokey and the Bandit. Smokey and the Bandit is all swagger, and this is like the opposite. It's like, how do you spell swagger backwards? That's how I'm going to play this role.
Well, think about this post-Deliverance, because Deliverance, he's the guy with the bow and arrow who makes the shot. In this movie, Gene Hackman hands him the Molotov cocktail. First time he throws it, it goes behind him. Second time, he overshoots the boat. When he has the gun and he's like trying to, shoot the bottle of liquor, he can't hit anything.
It's laugh out loud. That stuff is laugh out loud funny. I laughed out loud. And it is really fun to see him, and he doesn't even when he is in a romantic moment with Liza Minnelli, it's not like, oh God, finally I can play a stud. He is committed and is genuine. I mean, he sells it and sells it throughout. So I will absolutely give him full credit for that.
Because I know we've been talking a lot, so I wanted to see if you had something to say. Otherwise, I wanted to kind of go back to some of the scripts you were talking.
Please, go.
So this will address, I think, Richard, some of your concerns, and I wanted to tie in what Chris was talking about. One of the things I love about the way this movie is structured is they're not setting out to be bootleggers. They're just, Liza's setting out, she needs some money. Burt's like, okay, I'm going to try. Gene Hackman needs to get across the border. We don't really know a ton about his background, but they sort of fall into this bootlegging thing, and it accidentally works. And I really, especially on repeat viewings, I love the fact that it takes a little while before they figure out how to even live as bootleggers. Like after they get their money, they go to the hotel, and there's a great little moment where they're trying to figure out, what type of room to get, because Gene Hackman wants the room with Liza. And Burt's trying to be like, oh, no, I'm the husband with Liza. And then Liza's just like, do you have a big room? Because all three of them are going to be together. Because she's not going to pick either one. She likes them both. And I like how she says, I like you both. She never says, I love you both. And I think that's a key to her personality is she's having an adventure in some ways. She's going one day to the next. She doesn't have a grand plan. She likes these two guys. And I think it's really weird to structure a movie around a character who doesn't have a grand plan. And in some ways, I can understand that as sort of a weakness, but especially on multiple viewings, I like the fact that the movie allows these characters to not know how they're going to get from one place to the next. And maybe it just works for Maybe it just works for me, and I'll admit that. But
I mean, look, I honestly find it fairly shocking that a film in 75 is advocating for and being upfront and honest about an unconventional or non-traditional, non-conforming relationship in film, because this is not something you see in movies. Like, if you think about it, how often do you see this kind of relationship in film being taken seriously? And not only being taken seriously and not just a lantern being hung on it, but the main characters of the movie. The three leads. That this doesn't happen. It's strange, but it works.
Yeah, I agree. And I like the fact that there's no melodrama about it. Like, there are like little moments where they're like trying to like one up each other. And then Liza's just like, nah, she keeps it so cool and casual. I guess basically that I love the fact that the film respects Liza's character to be like, this is how I want to have this relationship with these two guys. And the guys are like, yeah, cool. Like,
this must have been so scandalous in 75, like a throuple. Oh my God.
But what's weird about it though is like I took a quick glance at the Roger Ebert review, and I don't know if other reviews were different, but it didn't seem to land on that aspect of the movie at all. And I can't decide personally for myself whether I like the fact that it was so unexamined, or if I wish it had at least been examined a little more, not as a scandalous relationship, but if I understood everyone's stake a little more, or even their motivations. Like, I'm not saying I needed Liza to be like, hey, I'm playing one off against the other and I'm being manipulative, or if I needed some weird, homosexual undercurrent from Burt to Gene, or Gene to Burt, or
I don't need it, but I can think about it.
Yeah,
they're good-looking guys. Come on,
I love when they the sort of like the younger assistant, bootlegging assistant, and the waiter with the room service come into the bathroom and see them all in the bathtub, and they're just like, whoa, and then everyone in the bathtub is like, we're in the bathtub, it's all good.
Yeah, and it's like I guess their behavior somewhat betrays their attitude, because their behavior is, we're all basically cool with it, and the fact that they don't talk about it is also narrative information. They don't feel the need to talk about it really, because they really don't.
And they don't need to justify it to anyone either. Like, nobody, it is kind of strange nobody in the movie really asks, but like, again, it's because it really doesn't matter.
There's a couple interesting moments that popped out this time viewing it for me. The scene after they've had their first successful, bootlegging operation, they have the money, they're sort of living it up at the hotel, and Liza wants to continue the way that everything's going, and the two of them don't really want to. And so they kind of decide to try and be, kind of shithead guys, and they're like, we're going to pick up a couple ladies and make her jealous. And it's just like, it's disgusting male behavior. And it just completely backfires. Like, it doesn't work. And I think moments like that were interesting to me this time, because you see the two of them trying to play these macho roles that in their eyes, that's who they're embodying. But it just doesn't, it doesn't work. It's not effective. I like the way the movie just sort of shuts it down. And at the end of the movie, spoiler alert to anyone who hasn't seen it, during the climactic shootout with this gangster who's trying to run the independents out of the bootlegging operation.
Howard Johnson.
Oh, come on.
For Blazing Saddles. He's the saloon owner, Howard Johnson.
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondersight comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wonderside's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wonderside.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wonderside.com. Wonderside. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wonderside today.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the 3 hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, you know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
I need to rewatch it. It's been a very long time.
Are you referring to Higgins?
Higgins.
So,
Magnum PI.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't make these connections. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway, the scene though, once again, Gene Hackman saves Burt Reynolds, and Burt's like, "Oh yeah, why did you do this?" And Gene Hackman is just like, because I knew if I didn't save you, it wouldn't have worked out with Liza at all. And and he's just like, "But don't think I didn't think about not saving your life." And I just sort of love the fact it's just like he still has to maintain a little bit of this macho facade between the two of them, even though it doesn't mean anything. It's it's actually really clear that they do have some sort of, I don't necessarily want to put a label on it.
Relationship and be toxically masculine. You can't.
When they're in the bed together, you see Liza and Burt, and then Liza rolls over and Gene Hackman is on the other side. They're totally happy. And then Liza jumps out of bed and they just lie there next to each other, completely comfortable with each other.
Yeah.
And I actually think it says, you were sort of pointing this out, Chris, the fact that they're not saying anything about it actually says a lot.
It does, but I don't know what it is, either me as a viewer or me having, written stuff. There's a feeling I always have that the filmmaker has a unspoken relationship with the audience. And part of that relationship is I am showing you certain things with certain expectations of your reaction. And sometimes and sometimes that I expect your reaction to be scandalized or upset or whatever. But more often, I'm trying to be funny. I expect you to laugh. I'm trying to be scary. I expect you to be gripping the edge of your seats. So my question when I'm watching this movie is, well, I have to assume the writers and the actors and the director know that the audience is going to have questions about what is it, what attitude are we supposed to have? What attitude do you presume that we have? And how are you hitting that back to us? Are you hitting it back to us as a curveball, or are you hitting it back to us as a softball? You've got to know that we're going to be wondering what the fuck is going on with these two guys. And by not telling us, you're kind of not playing fair.
I think it's a curveball because I think the expectation would be okay, they have to be having a competition between one another. She has to be torn and feel really bad about it. And then that's actually not the case. And to me, that's kind of refreshing that in this movie, that's actually not the drama. The drama is, are we going to succeed at bootlegging?
I mean, to Cullen's point, that was my expectation with the movie. Was I expected it was going to be Liza and Burt together, and Gene Hackman is just the asexual character, right? I mean, because that happens. You have an asexual partner / compadre who never is given a love interest throughout the entire film, and you're just the comic relief. You're nudging the hero as he's got the girl at the end. That's what I was expecting.
I'm going to argue that this exact movie, without maybe the in-bed scene, would have, for me, worked better, and maybe even for audiences worked better 30 years earlier or 40 years earlier, when it could be completely divorced from any. But when you're making a movie in 1975, when sexual mores are on every magazine cover and homosexuality has now become something that is on people's radars, and people sort of understand what that is now, and it's part of the public discourse, to make a movie that touches on these things but doesn't say anything about them one way or the other, either by going way further into it or at least explaining it, it feels like a missed opportunity at best and a sort of shy at the wheel at worst.
Interesting. I see where you're coming from, Richard. Here's something I wonder. I wonder if, maybe it's just for me, I wonder if that scene plays better today because they didn't try to explain it. I do wonder what I would have thought, if I had been seeing this in theaters at the time. Because to me, when I watch this, it reminds me of pre-code movies when there just could be pleasure, just like pure pleasure without sort of like moral judgment. And I wonder maybe that's what they were going for. It plays that way to me.
Well, I think that is what they're going for. And there was a weird tone to the pre-code movies that had to do with, and a part of it was Blonde Crazy that we watched, but there were many others, even like the most famous ones, where there's this weird attitude toward marriage and divorce and why is someone getting married? We've got to go get married. And, it's like, it's for money. And I'm marrying him for this. But I'm marrying him, but I'm seeing him, and yet it's in a weird way, it is so overtly comic that I believe that the tone of the movie let the audiences of the 30s and early 40s off the hook of ever really taking it seriously. We have to really picture her fucking him and then fucking that other dude the next night or the next hour or in the next room, because we're just teasing at you, ladies and gentlemen. But in 1975, that's a very different time to make a movie. And the teasing is over. And it's fun as a throwback. But again, it's sort of like, well...
But it's not a throwback.
You're going to throw back and not really comment on what, why make this movie in 1975 other than the fact that The Sting was made in 73? Why go, I'm going to make a movie about a menage a trois between a woman and a man and a man. And then I can imagine people going, well, that sounds interesting. So what are we saying? Nothing. We're just saying it happens. Okay, that sounds super liberated and cool and continental and European and avant-garde, but
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Still like you to say something. And I don't even care what the fuck you're saying. But give me what you think. Movie, tell me what you think.
Hey, and Richard, let me ask you.
Don't tell me you don't think anything.
Let me ask you something, Richard. So now that we, to quote the Santa Claus, now that we've opened this box, do what the movie didn't. What is the movie? What would you say if this were your movie? Because, I mean, again, I don't know if I disagree or agree with you. I think it's not even a matter of that in a lot of ways when we're talking about criticism. It's not an agree or disagree. I think you make some very valid points. I'm just I'm curious what you would say if given the opportunity with this kind of film. Okay. What would you say?
Okay, in other words, someone comes up to me and says, "Hey, we own Lucky Lady, so Universal, I don't even know what was it, 20th, wants to do a remake of it. How do we do Lucky Lady in 2021?" I would say in 2021, I need to be very, very clear that the Walker character and the Kibbe character are as interested in each other as they are in her, or maybe 5% less, but they're happy to go along with it. And they're happy to go along with it because it's like, and not only that, but I think I would also say I want to make it overt that Claire likes the fact that they like each other, and that's part of the turn on for her. And so everyone is sort of like, oh, that's interesting. So in other words, here's a movie about a woman who's like, I'm actually turned on by guys who like to fuck each other, because I like to fuck those guys. And then what I want from those two guys is we both really want to fuck Claire. But you're Burt Reynolds and you're Gene Hackman, or whoever they would be today. You're Brad Pitt and you're fucking whoever, and it's like,
oh, come on. Don't say just Brad Pitt and somebody else. Come on, Richard.
Well, it probably wouldn't be Brad Pitt because now he's older and these guys were in their fucking 30s. So
I think it would be more. I think it would be more interesting. Oh, you want to go real? You want to go into an interesting sub angle here? Two older guys and a younger woman.
Well, okay. You can. Okay, yes. But let's take the first scenario before we start getting.
Let's go real wild. Let's go wild, folks.
Before we bring ageism into it, let's just say the two guys are like, well, we both want to fuck her because she's, the hottest chick on the screen nowadays. But if sort of the deal, what turns her on is we fuck each other, I could do worse. Okay. And then the doors close and we're like, oh, what's going on back there? Everyone would get it, and everyone would get what the filmmaker, in this case me, is saying, which is a very 2021 approach to sex is pretty fluid and desire is fluid. And if everyone's having a good time and they're drinking or smoke or whatever, then God bless them. They're all adults and they're also breaking the law. So, who knows about those crazy bootleggers?
And what are they running instead of rum in this scenario, Richard?
No, they're running. It's a period piece.
Wow.
Well, that's the comment. You could do it. I mean, you could, but it wouldn't be like period piece with the fucking Scott Joplin music. That tells you the tone also. And man, they were pushing like people are getting shot, but we're still playing that, dun, 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 dun.
It's funny, Richard, because
we get it.
The way you describe it, that's what I get out of this movie. So
I see. That's the thing, Richard. I think to Cullen's point, I think I'm with Cullen. I think I'm a little with Cullen, but I do.
I wasn't getting that. I was not getting that Burt Reynolds and what's his name were like, ooh, 2 for 1.
No, I think that's right. I love hearing your criticisms as a screenwriter because you have, I don't know. I mean, your insight is just incredible. And we're not always going to see the same things. Like I love the points you're making. The fact that this movie doesn't have a huge following, I think it speaks to the fact that this movie doesn't work for everybody. I'd love to know more reasons why. On Letterboxd, I'm one of 2 people who have given it a 5-star rating. Nobody's given it a 4.5. I think there's 8 people that gave it 4. It has a 2.5-star rating on Letterboxd.
One of the IMDb reviews I saw said, I don't like this movie because the kid dies, and they found that to be tonally inconsistent with the rest of the film. So I think some of the criticism is just a tone thing, which again is more of a you personally, less the movie, because that's what the movie's going for. The movie's not unsuccessful at changing tones. You just don't like it, which is fine. That's just the way it is sometimes.
If they had been more overt, if a Burt Reynolds, Gene Hackman, if there had been a couple of moments where it's like, oh, fuck, you're telling me those dudes are into each other and they're as into each other as they are into her. If they'd been more overt with that, this would be a movie that you would have heard of and would be talked about and reshown. And now it wouldn't be allowed. You couldn't have done it in 75. But
no, I mean, I think you're right. And I want to actually go back to an earlier point you were making, which is, was Stanley Donen the right director for this? What I love about his approach to this movie is it feels like Singing in the Rain. Like it feels like he's in that world, but that's not the type of story he's telling. Like there's even this like weird gauzy like fuzziness. There's a soft focus on
the angel glow.
Scene.
The angel glow in every scene.
It is like almost too much, but it has the lightness of like a musical.
It's Laurel. It makes me feel like Laurel Canyon. Just like that, there's like that like warmness to it that you get with like Laurel Canyon music from the time with people like that. Like that Laurel Canyon music, like Judy Sills, stuff like that. It makes you feel like you're wrapped in the sound. The movie makes you feel like you're wrapped in the movie. It's like that. There's something about that glow that just does it. I don't know.
So here's the question for both of y'all. What do you think other directors might have, what would they have done? Like, can you think of other directors at the time that would have done it? And like, how do you think it would have been differently? Because to Richard, to go back to your point about the relationship, I think other directors would have handled that love triangle in very, very different ways.
Yeah.
I think almost any other director you brought to it would have drastically pulled back tonally on the more overt cartoonish elements of humor.
Yeah.
I think it would have leaned a bit more towards staying a little bit more adult sophistication and a little less goofy slapstick, and some of that was on the page, but I think other directors would have pulled away from that. And I'm not sure if that's good or bad. I just think that would have been the first thing that would have went overboard, if you will.
No. I was going to say, I find it funny that Spielberg was the person that they wanted to direct this.
Oh my goodness, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, they approached Spielberg first because he was coming off of Jaws, and they were like, do you want to do this? And he didn't want to. I don't want to watch that movie, right? Like, that would be a really... Nope. I assume the three of us, we all have differing ideas of what this movie would look like with Spielberg at the helm. But for me, as I'm sure for y'all, Spielberg getting involved means this movie becomes a Spielberg movie. And what comes with a Spielberg movie is all kinds of things that do not suit this narrative, this story at all.
So when you said Spielberg, I start thinking of Sugarland Express. Like, I could see him doing this sort of like classic Hollywood with like a little bit of grit. I could actually see him doing a really good version of this.
Okay, you know what? I was gonna say something and now because of what Cullen said, I'm
sorry.
No. I think you pointing that out changed both of our minds at the same time.
Yeah, because I was gonna say I'm thinking 1941, and I'm thinking Spielberg and concept comedy and period piece comedy don't mix. But in 75, and even through Close Encounters, he was still making 70s movies. Jaws is a 70s movie. Close Encounters.
Duel.
They've got gritty stuff. Like when you think of Close Encounters, you think of, it's like, oh, that was Spielberg doing his sci-fi E.T. thing. What you forget about are these screaming fights between Richard Dreyfuss and the actress who
mention the part where he's sweaty all the time, where the movie is like it's drenched in like sweat and humidity, which makes me think gritty right off the bat. It's weird,
but
right?
Like Richard Dreyfuss is going crazy.
Right.
He's screaming, doors are being slammed, and there's a shot of one of their kids crouched in the bathroom going, please stop fighting, please stop fighting. And it's like, this is not something you're ever going to see with Spielberg ever again. I think this was the last time he is playing those notes. In a movie that, isn't Schindler's List or something. Which is its own thing. So that gritty 70s thing was still enough in him that maybe this would have been okay.
There's two other names I have thought of that I want to throw by you. First is Scorsese.
Honestly,
this would have been early for him. Have you all seen? The reason I mentioned him,
no fun.
Doesn't sound like it was much fun to begin with. If you read post-film quotes from all three of the people involved in the film, it sounded like it was an undertaking, and it was probably gonna be any way you cut it.
The reason I mentioned Scorsese is because he does New York with Liza,
right?
And I can't remember. Have either of you seen that?
No.
I just know that he worked with her.
So that might be my favorite Scorsese movie. And one of the things I love about it is I came to it after seeing, all the legendary stuff. It's really unexpected to me, like his tone, like he's doing Minnelli. I mean, he's so overtly doing Vincent Minnelli. I think he got Judy Garland's hairdresser for Liza on this. And he does it so well, but he does have that like 70s gritty, like, coming up, doing the smaller movies. And so I could see early Scorsese doing something like this. I think he would have been good. Sure. The other guy is someone you already mentioned, Richard, which is Bogdanovich, because he did Nickelodeon. He's doing period movies like
What's
Paper
Up,
Moon.
Doc? Yeah, Paper Moon. But that's sort of, and he's more like I think he actually would have done a better job, because I think he would have nailed the broad comedy and married it with every other thing more successfully than Donen. I got to tell you, when I have problems with the sound mix of a movie, I felt like every line of dialogue felt like it was post-recorded. People's voices sounded oddly high-pitched. Every time Gene Hackman opened his mouth, he was talking up here. It sounded like it was really like, I'm like, am I hearing this right? Is he talking too fast? Everyone's like it never sounded like we were in the environment they were in. When they're on the high seas, it sounded like they were in a room. There was almost a skill level, almost on a technical level, that was wonky for me. I think Bogdanovich would have been a better choice. Yes.
I would love to see Bogdanovich doing this. And I wonder if there was a pitch meeting where they were referencing some of the movies that he had done. And I think, how is this in relation to Nickelodeon?
It's got to be, I don't know.
Because that also has Burt. So I'm pulling that up. Nickelodeon is 76. Paper Moon is earlier. That is 73. But he had done At Long Last Love with Burt Reynolds also in 75.
Don't know that one.
Oh, it's a musical. I love it. Here's an interesting history of that movie. Chris, have you seen it?
Which one?
At Long Last Love.
No.
It's Bogdanovich directing, Burt Reynolds, Sybil Shepherd, Madeline Kahn, Eileen Brennan, Mildred Natwick. The movie, Emmett Walsh is in it. It flopped when it came out. It's a very weird musical. But from a few years ago, I think a lot of younger directors were talking about how much they actually loved this. And if I remember the story correctly, someone was going to finally release it on Blu-ray. I think it's like a Twilight Time thing that was limited. And they called Bogdanovich and said, well, which cut do you want to use? And he said, what are you talking about? There's only one cut. And they said, we have two different prints. It turns out that somebody at like Showtime or something was a big fan of the movie, but thought the editing was wrong. And so without asking anybody, he just recut some of the movie. And that's what was aired on television. And that's what a lot of people saw and really liked. And when Bogdanovich saw that version, he's like, this is better than what I originally did. So the new Blu-ray is based off of this other cut.
That's fucking wild.
I hope that's the story if I remember correctly.
I'm sitting here reading it off of Wikipedia, and it is exactly what you were talking about.
What year was this new cut?
I got the Blu-ray. This was probably like 2015, 2014. Chris, does it say?
This is the version that was available on Netflix. Someone recut
the movie.
And I think it was like in the 80s or something when the guy did it for television.
Oh, so the cut was done in the 80s.
Yeah, without Bogdanovich's permission.
He substituted it as early as 79, and that's the version that made it onto Netflix. That's fucking wild, man. What?
And Bogdanovich, he was not aware of this. He just thought, I just figured whatever they're showing on TV is what I did.
I mean, if someone told you that, Richard, about Mothman, what would your response be?
I didn't direct Mothman, so.
But my point kind of stands. Like, if someone told you the version that they saw of Mothman was wildly different from the one that you saw, and that's the version that they've only ever seen, you would probably be like, excuse me, what the fuck?
It would be, that would be very strange. I think if you're a director and there's a different cut of your movie, that's like, I went through all of my angst of Mothman
It's fair.
before it was shot, because that's when it was being rewritten, and then things were being put back, and then stuff was being changed on set. I came to terms with all that shit. By the time I saw the movie before it came out, it's like, oh, okay, that's mine. That line isn't. That line isn't. Okay,
Right.
they left out that scene. Okay, but this is my movie. I mean, obviously, it's, overwhelmingly what I wrote. So I'm like, all right,
goodness.
I have no complaints. Having written Dark Territory, and then 5 years later seeing Dark Territory Under Siege 2, those movies could not be more different. There was no... Matt Reeves and I sat there watching it, like just with our guts on the floor going, Steven fucking Seagal, and Jeff fucking Murphy, and, a million other things, and Under fucking Siege. Then it became its own thing and people loved it. And now I'm like, okay, well, now it is what it is. And I love it too, because I'm no longer, those wounds have healed. But that is weird. And for him to say that he approves is amazing.
That's the amazing part. That really is.
So I finished this, but then I want to go back because I think I might have thought who might have been the perfect director for this material. Oh, Stanley Donen's later partner, Elaine May.
Well,
I think she would have done a great job with this.
The problem with Elaine May, and I haven't seen everything she's done, but name me the perfect Elaine May movie.
I mean, she hasn't made it. I mean, I have not seen Ishtar, but I do love A New Leaf, and I love Heartbreak Kid. What is the perfect Elaine May movie?
There isn't one, which makes it really hard to say. There isn't one because I think one reason is Elaine May, although I think Elaine May is ridiculously talented, but Elaine May was also a female director in a time when she was getting no respect and no regard, and was working under those conditions and pressures. And so I think it drove her into a way of filmmaking that did not endear anyone who was not already a fan, and even pissed off a few people who were. I think what happened with Elaine May was she felt like it has to be
Mikey and Nikki. I love that movie.
But it's like I don't think she was ever allowed to make the quintessential Elaine May movie that people could look at and go, okay, when you got out of her way and left her alone, and she was working at the height of her talents, she made a perfect film, and that film is A New Leaf, Mikey and Nikki, whatever. I don't think there is one that succeeds 100%, even though she is an amazing talent.
What I think makes me wish honestly, I wish we had a TARDIS so we could have alternate timelines to see all of these different versions, because this conversation has made me.
You mean the version of the universe where this could have happened because that universe would have allowed that to happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would also, in another timeline, I would like to have seen what she would have been able to do with this script at that time. Because what I think, Chris, have you seen Mikey and Nikki?
I have not.
Richard, you've seen it, right?
It's been years. I got to be honest, I don't recall it, and I don't recall thinking it was brilliant.
Oh, I think it's brilliant. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorites. But it's, Philly, John Cassavetes is in the mob, has pissed off the bosses. They've killed somebody else. He's holed up in a hotel room, and he's freaking out. The only person he can call is his old childhood friend, Peter Falk, who's also in the mob, but he doesn't know whether Peter Falk is going to set him up for a hit or not. This isn't giving anything away, because you quickly realize that Peter Falk is supposed to set him up, and he hasn't decided what he's going to do. It's also got Ned Beatty in it. It's got M. Emmett Walsh. Fabulous. But it's like, it has, it's a very gritty, dramatic story. The relationship between the two of them is really complex. And Richard, I think in some ways, sort of what you wanted to see between Burt and Jean, it's Mikey and Nikki doesn't have that same sort of thing, because it's not a love triangle necessarily, but there are smaller love triangles where, like, they had girlfriends in the past, and it does sort of get into this. We're like, well, what do they feel towards each other You know, is there something, what else is going on? Like, it gets into like really intricate stuff. And I'm like, she can do that. She can get the grittiness. That movie has weird moments of humor. It would be a lot darker, but I think she would have had a really interesting version of this to tell.
Yeah, there's all look. I mean, directorially, we can make these arguments all day, and they're fun to make. On the page, on the Willard Gloria screenplay, I'm curious if it came down a little harder tonally on exactly what the fuck is going on between our throuple.
I would love to see the original script of this. And you know what I want to say? I've never read it. I didn't know it was a thing before today. There is a novelization of this. And so that novelization would have been based on the original script.
Right.
I really want to track that down. It doesn't necessarily mean that the novelization will follow the original script, but maybe that might provide some insight.
Look, the thing I'm talking about would have been very difficult to do and probably impossible to do.
I'm not sure Gene Hackman and Burt Reynolds would have agreed to do it, Richard.
Well, yeah, that's my point. It's like you almost couldn't, and then a studio, even if they'd been willing to, a studio would have been like, we're not going to, this is not going to be a sexy movie if we're picturing, you know, Burt Reynolds sucking Gene Hackman's cock. We're just not, that's not what the audience wants right now, you know? And it would have been,
at least let me put it this way. That's not what they think they want.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the joke. It's like people haven't changed, but what the society tells people is okay for them to openly sort of entertain as entertainment. It's like now you do that movie and you take whoever the hottest guys are, you know, of whatever age range they were at. I mean, both those guys look like they were in their mid to late 30s, you know, when this movie was made. So I don't know who those actors are that everyone would go all aflutter about, but try it now and more people would be more open about saying, oh yeah, that was fucking amazing. Oh my God, what the fuck? Yeah, that was awesome.
I mean, we finally, for the first time in a long time, not ever, but because I don't want to speak to blanket statements, but I mean, we're living in a society now where Fear Street came out on Netflix, was wildly successful, and had 2 queer leads. And it wasn't played for laughs. It wasn't played and there's a little bait and switch moment at the beginning that I think is used to prove a point. It's not that I don't like it; it just feels lazy. But 2 queer leads in a major, big, promoted like hell Netflix release in a horror film, which that community has had its own issues with queer representation, just like they've had POC issues with representation in their films. It's fucking horrifying to me that all it took was the industry saying it's okay, because there have been people saying it's okay for fucking ever. It's a fucking shame, right? Like, so let's just be real here for a moment. Absolutely real and upfront. It's a fucking shame.
Yep.
But Hollywood, you know, for all the conservatives who say Hollywood is so liberal and presses a liberal agenda, Hollywood's very conservative. Because it comes down to dollars and they want the most people and they don't really want to offend anyone. It's certainly not with major releases. Okay, you've got Brokeback Mountain. Okay, whatever. I feel like that's kind of like...
Mind you, didn't win Best Picture, won Best Director, but didn't win Best Picture.
Right. But what has been the most like critically and not critically, publicly embraced, like, we love this movie, and yeah, it was about 2 gay people, but that's almost beside the point. What's been the most popular version of that? That like the most broadly popular. I'm trying to think, not because I'm trying to make the point that there isn't one. I'm honestly saying, I think
you might have. I think you may have. I think you may have made that point. I mean, no, because Brokeback Mountain is, because the movie that you're talking about would have to be somewhat, if not a feel-good movie in a way. Like Brokeback Mountain is way, like I don't know if y'all have seen it, but it is way too serious. It's way too serious to be that movie, because it's, you know, it's to that, you know, it's like high science fiction is not as popular as something like Star Wars because it has the broad appeal. Brokeback Mountain is talking about not only queer representation, but it's also talking about closeted queer representation, which is the touchy subject of queer representation. The closeted aspect.
It still views homosexuality through through a lens of tragedy. Oh, the tragedy of these homosexuals.
The tragedy of being closeted in a society and culture that frowns upon it because of cowboy culture, quote unquote.
And during a time, because I even think Brokeback started in the past and only came into the present in their later lives. This is going to sound stupid, but I'm going to say the show Modern Family is sort of the most like, that show was an across the board hit, ran for 11 years. Nobody blinked. And there was a gay couple in the middle of it. And the main couple of the show. Yeah. One of the three main couples, right? It was almost completely non-controversial. It was just like, and they didn't shy away from it, and they would show them kissing, and it didn't show them having sex, but for a network TV show, it was just sort of like, it's about three couples, one of them's gay, there's a bunch of relationships going on, and you love them as much as you love anyone, and they've got other problems. So I guess I'm just trying to think of where we are now. Could you do this movie now in a way where it's just like, it was this fun romantic comedy where, the two guys and the girl, and they were all fucking and having a great time, and it's actually about bootlegging.
I will say that if someone isn't thinking about doing something like this, which I'm sure someone is, they should be, because again, if we're trying to push people understanding that this is just something that is in reality that people are doing, and it's not something to get excited or upset or offended about, I think something like this needs to exist. I mean, again, if this is how we change culture, is through something like film or music or television, which we do, then yes, I think something like this needs to exist.
And by the way, you're right, and I'm actually off the mark. There was some mission drift in the point I was making, because the point I was making is not about making a movie about two gay guys. It's about two straight guys who are sort of like, well, to have sex with her, if it means I got to have sex with you first, okay, because you know what, desire is fluid and orientation is fluid.
They could be asexual. They could be asexual or bisexual.
Mm-hmm. But everyone's like, well, it's got to be bisexual. It's got to be this, or it's got to be that. And I'm like, can't you look in real life? And I've always sort of had this theory, but it's based on straight male sexuality. I think that if it was how guys are always like, oh, it's so, it'd be really hot is like if you and your best girlfriend like made out, that'd be so fucking hot. Like guys love when chicks make out with each other, and the girls are like, whatever. It's turning them on. Okay, we don't care because it's no big deal to us. But what if you reverse that? What if women were like very open? And what if it was a thing, like just an accepted thing, that any guy becomes 50% hotter to a woman if they make out with another guy? Do you have any idea the amount of gayness? Not even gayness.
This is like the clip of the century with Richard. Do you know how gay it would be? Do you know how gay things would be?
You would walk into bars and see guys making out so hard and straight guys, because suddenly it wouldn't be that weird to be like, I can live with making out with you if it means I get to jump on that later. Things would look different.
Query, though.
Now, I'm not saying women don't like that.
Query, no pun intended. Query, no pun intended. In this scenario, Richard, are you positing that if that were the case, if we lived in a society where male homosexual sex, pornography, as it were, I think we're talking about pornography, or, at least the permeation into society, if it were the other way around, if two men being intimate was viewed as kind of hot, like you said, whatever word.
Super hot.
Yeah.
It made you hotter.
Yeah, if that were a thing, more widely accepted, because there are women that feel that way. Let's not pretend like there aren't. We're not saying that, but it's not as common.
Yeah, if it was super common, if women were if you interviewed all, thousands and thousands of women, and they were like, the number one hottest thing about any guy is if he's making out with another guy.
Or if it at least showed up in the top three, right? Like it was a thing that was reoccurring.
And it had been like, everyone knew it. It's been that way since throughout history. Everyone knows it. Everyone gets it.
So the question I have is it more likely in this scenario, because this is an interesting question since we've, again, opened this box. are the straight men that are making out with each other for the sole purpose of being with an attractive woman because that's what she thinks is hot, or in this society is sexuality more fluid because of that? Does the lack of fluidity,
yes.
does the lack of sexual fluidity in our society stem from toxic masculinity, or is it just intrinsic in our society? Because that's my question.
I think there are guys whose range of sexuality is this, but their range of practiced sexuality is less than this, either this or that, depending on circumstance. And I think that it's like, if for instance, let's just take oral sex, heterosexual oral sex, okay, and men performing oral sex on women. I think if you went back decade by decade by decade by decade, you'd find less of it occurring.
I mean, look at a show that permeated society to its core. They talk about in The Sopranos how a man giving head to a woman, that makes you a pussy. That makes you feminine, right? Isn't that's one of the big jokes in the show, right? Like first season of the fucking show.
And there are cultures that believe that, and there's stuff. But I think that what's happened, I'm just gonna, and I've got no facts to back this up, but I bet they're out there. But over the last 100 years in America, if you could actually go into people's bedrooms, you're going to find more guys eating pussy in 2021 than you, as a percentage of people having heterosexual sex, than you would 50 years ago and 100 years ago and beyond. Okay. I think you are, just because somehow that changed. The conversation changed, practices changed, and now guys do that. Now, are we saying, well, guys hate doing it, but they'll do it because it means that right afterwards they get to stick it in? No, I think guys who originally thought that's gross, I don't want to do that, nah, that makes me a pussy. Now that it's on the table and accepted and no one's going to really make fun of you for that in the larger society, guys are like, I find that I actually enjoy this. I still like doing all the other things, but I'm not saying I don't like that. If you use that as an example, that would be my analogy for dudes doing it with other dudes. It would be like, I didn't think I was going to like it, but then when I tried it, I either found that it's A, not bad, B, I actually really like it, and now it's on the menu, or C, yeah, you know what? Forget the chick. I'm good. I'll just take the first part of the evening. I'm fine with this. I was all mixed up.
But you didn't answer my question. And I'm curious, both of y'all. Well, you didn't answer my question because probably I didn't really word it as a question so much. In our society, we're becoming more fluid with our sexualities, right? I think we would all agree. People are more open. They're more honest. More people are coming to terms with being asexual, bisexual, whatever spectrum, wherever you are on the spectrum, people are becoming more comfortable with that. Is the lack of openness with fluidity in our society sexually, and again, this speaks to this movie, is that driven by the male perspective on sexuality? Because again, my question is, if this society existed where something like this was more acceptable, a film like this could be more upfront, is our society lacking in that because everything is viewed through a male lens versus a female lens, and we're just now coming to terms with that? Is that why? I guess it must be. It has to be.
It has to be, because men are still in charge of those industries.
Right.
So you just follow the logic.
It goes back to the toxic masculinity of Deliverance.
Yeah.
Right. No, but again, I would say that if tomorrow women were running all major studios and running all development, yes, I think you would probably find there would be a percentage more movies that showed casual male acts of homosexuality, even if those guys weren't being presented as 100% homosexual characters. It would find its way in there. But I don't think that necessarily reflects a pervasive interest on the part of women in general to see that, because I'm still guessing it is a somewhat niche interest. I would not say that more than 50% of the women in America that you would interview, would say, oh yes, in my top 3 hot things for dudes to do is fuck each other. I don't think that's a guess.
But about 20 years from now, that may not be the case.
It may not be the case because things change and things open up and people, and not only that, but it's like what I was saying before, women who today would go, no, I don't, why would I want that? No. But if they saw porn or saw movies and suddenly like, oh, well, now that I see it, yeah, it's kind of cool. Okay. I was thinking this, but if it's that, maybe.
Cullen, I have to ask you in all seriousness, is this where you thought this conversation on Lucky Lady was going to go?
Yes and no. I mean, I knew it was going to come up.
At least we're somewhat consistent.
Yeah, I mean, I knew this was going to come up, and I knew it would provoke some sort of reaction. I wasn't sure what the reaction would be, and I think you both make, some really incredible insights, questions to ask. This is the type of thing I'm just like, this movie would be like a really good, sort of jump off point for it's been a jump off point for a great podcast, I think.
Agreed.
This has been one of the most fun podcasts I've ever done. But the questions you're asking, it's just like, if this were like an essay or a book, there would be like, we're going to pause and go to the next section and go into research and like data and statistics. And then, start comparing to other movies. Like, the questions you're asking are really huge. And I think, I would love to see this be like the topic of a book, like going into all other movies that are discussing this sort of stuff. Like, I think it's a fascinating topic.
Take the conversation we've just had for the last 15 minutes and now look at the title of this movie.
I never thought of that before. I look at the poster above my television every day. That's amazing.
Isn't that the truth though? If you find one person that you're compatible with, that's amazing, right? And
Yeah.
I know that they say this fucking thing of like, there's 1,000 people in the world for you, right? That's what everybody says. That's what statistically has to be the case, because no one person is just perfect for you. But to find one person is something, but to find one person and then find another person, and the three of you are as close as each one of you are separately, that is truly something that if you find that, you do not let that go.
They've been trying to make this TV show for the last 20 years. They've been trying to make the polyamory show. They've been trying to make the throuple, the threesome, and it always runs into the same predictable challenge. And I'll say it's a challenge because one of the desires on the part of the creators of these kinds of shows is, I want to show this kind of relationship, and I want to show that it can be valid and successful, and that people within it can it can be functioning. Like it's what people wanted to do 40 years ago, showing a homosexual relationship. It's like, I don't want to show it as tragic and scandalous and shameful and they killed themselves. I just want to show them succeeding and enjoying it, because that can happen. So a person goes into it with that, and I've read these scripts. I have friends and I know students, and these scripts have been written on all levels, up and down. But then it comes up against what all drama deals in, which is conflict. So it's very difficult to have that relationship and not immediately challenge it. And you challenge it from within. You can challenge it from without, but you're going to also challenge it from within, because whether we like it or not, that's what the vast majority of the audience is going to be interested in.
That's where you mine the drama.
Yeah, it's like, well, this can't possibly work. And if you're going to tell me it works perfectly and there's no problems and no one's got a problem with it, then I'm significantly less interested. And then it's like, oh, but we can't do this. And then in episode 3, show that it doesn't work, because then we're blowing our mission statement, and now it's just a fucking love triangle, and that's every show. So what's the point?
So who makes this show then? Someone who's in a throuple?
Well, I mean, but they could try.
Well, my question to you is,
the demands of drama are, where do you find your conflict then?
Sure.
Unless it is without. Unless we fall so in love with those 3 people, and we are so dedicated to the survival of these 3 people, and then a 4th shows up, And it's like, oh no.
Why not just make essentially throuple supernatural? Why not just make throuple supernatural? Why not just give the conflict always from outside? Why not? Isn't that just supernatural as it is anyways? Like, I bet they were kicking themselves the whole time that those two guys were brothers in the script, because it would have been the best gay show of all time.
Oh, the amount of incest fanfic.
I have read, if there's this much, I've read this much. I mean, what? Colin,
this much.
I need to get into Supernatural. I've only seen, Lauren showed me a couple episodes, and I really liked them.
They're great.
You could wallpaper Florida with the pages of incest.
To the moon and back and there again.
To the moon and back, and it circled the earth 17 and a half times. But your point though is actually genius. What you do is you introduce a throuple, but the show's not about the throuple. The show is about their ghost hunters, and
it can't be about the throuple.
Secondarily, that they all fuck each other and they're having a good time.
Richard,
what we're really worried about is
This is the idea, Richard. This is the idea, man. This is the best idea. Not only
watch
does
this movie.
No. Come on, we got TV extended narrative.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll watch the show.
And you know what?
Make sure it's on a streaming service I already subscribe to, because I'm not going to sign up for Bravo Plus.
Is it on the nose? Is it on the nose to put your own TV show on your Plex server?
Yes.
No. It could be a Plex original.
Yeah, I mean, look. Here's the thing, Richard. That's how you got to bait and switch. You got to bait and switch the audience immediately. Just don't even it ain't about that, right? That's what you say. It ain't about the fact that they all fuck each other when they're off camera or when they're at home alone. That's not what this is about.
But the other problem is shows about thruples piss people off, because it's like, wait, you get to fuck two people?
Oh,
the vast majority of monogamous 2-person couples that are like, well, fuck you. You get to be a throuple. You get to fuck two people. And I don't even care what the situation is or what it is. If for most guys, if it's two guys and a girl, they're like, well, I wouldn't want to be involved in that. If I'm going to have a throuple, it's going to be two chicks. And then even if it's that, then you're angry at that. Cause like, why does that dude get two chicks? I don't get two chicks. So then it's like, I don't want to, and the idea.
But to be fair, this sounds like just like this, you know what this sounds like to me? And this is something that like, I prescribe to, like, you know what that is? That's tough shitism. I don't give a shit. That's your fucking, like, that is, like, it is not my job to fill that. It is not my job to carry or fill that chip on your shoulder.
No, it is, because no one's going to watch your show, dude. And then your show's not going to stay on the air. So that is your problem, dude.
Yeah,
sorry.
But is it my problem to cater to fucking the people like that?
Well, no, because what you do is you go make your show for Crave TV or, IFP or whatever.
I like Richard, dude. Richard went all hot. Richard got a little angry there for a moment. Richard let his anger. Richard let who he is as a screenwriter through. He's like, listen, they're not gonna watch your fucking show, okay? And then they're not gonna watch it, and then you're not gonna do this, and then they're gonna look at you and say, why are you working on this fucking show? And you're gonna be like, I don't know.
45 years later, there'll be a podcast about your show.
Yeah, exactly. About how you were ahead of the fucking curve, but you're dead now, so whatever.
And then one day they're going to call you up and say, sorry, asshole, Miracles is canceled. Oh, I mean, or whatever your show is called. Point
like
being,
that.
you could probably do it now because there's enough niche channels that it's like, yeah, high maintenance exists. This could exist, so.
Yeah, I mean, everybody needs something. I think, Richard, I do appreciate, and I completely agree with where you're coming from, because again, to your point, your frame of reference for what you're talking about, your industry has changed so much in the last 5 years, let alone 10, let alone 20, that like what you are saying is at times completely valid, but at times also almost incompletely invalid, because the industry invalidates itself all the time. I wouldn't think something like IFC, that channel would be able to get a show with Jason Momoa in it. Yet he's in a show on IFC. Like that means that there's enough fucking gold to go around that everybody must be able to just do something enough anymore. There's so much content that everybody can come to the table, even if it's with a little bit of money, and say, I've got something to hang my hat on.
And I think you could do, again, I'm going to go back to the way you pitched it. I think you could do a show about three people. If we come in on that relationship 5 years in, and in the pilot, we simply understand that these are three people who love each other like family, except they fuck. but they love each other like family. Like they're 100% devoted to each other. Like you will watch movies about groups of people who would die for each other. I mean, that's fucking
Right.
Fast and Furious. So if you stake your claim early and just go, these people care deeply about each other and about each other's individual best interests, and they're all there for each other. And when the chips are down, they'll die for each other. And then at night they fuck each other. You can do that. Like there's a way to do that and not make it about, yeah, but who do they really like better? And who's the third?
It's not let me put it this way. This show, the success of this show is based on the fact that it is not a sitcom.
Here's something. Oh, sorry. When you mentioned Fast and Furious, am I correct? All of the relationships in that series are straight. It's heteronormative, right?
I believe so.
When I was watching the most recent one.
That's weird.
Look at Richard's face. Yeah, isn't that wild to think about?
How could they not have a gay person?
I don't.
At this rate, with the amount of movies and at this day and age, I don't know.
I didn't. When I was watching the most recent one, I started to ask that question. I guess I got to watch them all again to find out. But I could be wrong.
I don't think there's any male gay characters. There may be an implication that a female character might be lesbian or bisexual or something, but I honestly can't remember. And I've seen at least 5 of the 9 movies.
Yeah, I wonder how that's because I feel like if that series continues, they're going to have to address this, and I wonder how and or when.
The fact that they haven't is kind of shocking.
I mean, Disney is just now having their first openly gay character in a film. That would be I forget the actor's name, but it's in the Jungle Cruise film. Openly gay. It's 2021.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the sad thing is we as people, as a society, it doesn't seem to me that we really get to push the conversation forward. It seems like the culture and the things that we consume push the argument forward, which is why I've always tried to use film, as I'm sure we all have, or novels or music, to move the conversation forward. Because, as I'm sure you would agree, Richard and Cullen, it is something that is more easily understood by a wider range of people than just talking to someone. And again, it also has a wider reach because it is a film. It's easier to find and consume. Yeah. It's unfortunate that our society has taken this long for a company like Disney, who are such tastemakers, culture pushers, to be in 2021 patting themselves on the back for having an openly gay character in a film. That is not something to pat yourself on the back for. Nope. I'm sorry, it's not.
No.
So there was a show that got as close to this as you could get, but it was based in a culture that we all know does this. It was Big Love. It was the sister wives of the Mormons in Utah.
Right. Bill Paxton, right?
Yeah. And so through that lens, it was like, okay, well, now we're going to talk about relationships where at least a guy is having multiple consensual sexual relationships, but within a church. He's not just a swinger from Los Angeles. It's within a religious setting, so there's all kinds of rules and customs and all that. But it was still talking about, okay, but you're with her, then you're with her, then you're with her. And I think, having not really seen a lot of the show, I think they just played it as, well, I have separate individual unique relationships with each wife that have different dynamics, and then the wives have a again, their
social relationship
based on the fact that they are living in a place where this is totally accepted. So they're not outliers in their community; they are part of their community. So you can do this sort of thing. It's it would be like the first question everyone's going to ask is, well, yeah, but I mean, don't you ever get jealous that maybe so-and-so likes so-and-so better than you? And isn't it weird when you come home and they're in bed and maybe you were hoping that tonight you could be involved in that? And like, what are the rules? What are the rules? What are the rules? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. You'd really have to lay it out.
Hey, lay it out in the first episode and that's it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in this day and age, the way we should be viewing so much of this is if this makes someone else happy, if this doesn't break the law, if this doesn't hurt anyone, themselves included in the process, we should not worry about what make other people happy, even if it's a polyamorous relationship. Look, you could have a polyamorous relationship with 3 people and one of them isn't even sexually active with all 3 partners. Like, why would that? I mean, again, that in and of itself could be a thing. Again, that's the other thing. The assumption in this relationship, the way Lucky Lady, all the way back to Lucky Lady lays it out, and to Richard's point from before, is you get the sense, because the movie's not, and this I'm coming from where you're coming from, Richard, it's not overt enough in what it's saying to say Gene Hackman and Burt Reynolds are into each other as much as they're into Liza Minnelli. That's what you said, right, Richard? It's not as overt as it maybe could have been or should have been, but it couldn't have been given the time.
Right. I mean, that's the question of the movie. It's like, well, are we saying that?
Right. Exactly. So
I was going to say, it's like, I'm writing the pilot in my mind. Like you could have a scene where there is one of our let's say it's a throuple, 2 guys and a girl. So we're sort of in Lucky Lady territory, and
that's what it has to be. Just like that has to be.
I think so. Yes,
that has. I mean, because again, to your point about the acceptance in our culture almost entirely of lesbian sex as like some sort of extended foreplay for hetero people. It's widely accepted and joked upon. Whether or not it should be or joked upon is a different story, but it just happens to be.
So if we were starting with one of the guys and he was at work or something, let's just create a situation where he's having a very stressful day, and the day ends, and however you set it up, it's like I gotta go home and get laid, okay? And he goes home, and the other guy is at the kitchen table, and the girl is there. And he's like, I've had a really bad day, whatever it is. And she's like, yeah, me too. I've got an early morning tomorrow, and I've got a stomach ache. See you guys later. And she just leaves the room. And then guy number 1 looks at guy number 2, and guy number 2 is like, rough day. He's like, yeah. And he's like, want a beer? And the guy's like, yeah, maybe I do. And then it's like, oh, okay, right. There's an alternative here that's equal, and it's like, yeah, great, let's do this. And whatever it is. And then you're just like, oh, okay. So we have seen like diagnostically, we've seen a situation we understand from a heteronormative male perspective. And now we're being told explicitly what the terms of this relationship are. That he came home, maybe he was thinking about her. That's certainly what we thought. She walked out of the room, but now these 2 guys are like, yeah, this is actually, this is not a step down.
To our characters, this is normal.
To our characters, like, one of the advantages is if one person of the 3 just isn't feeling it that night, the other 2, there's another option here.
And oh, by the way, in this movie, you also, or TV show, you make it abundantly clear that they don't always sleep together either. Because again, it's not
always a threesome,
right? And that is again the thing that to back to Lucky Lady and to what you were talking about, Richard. They don't, as you said, Richard. I would agree almost completely, but I agree more with Cullen. Given I think it is clear enough. I think that in this movie, they do talk about that because there's not the assumption that Gene Hackman and Burt Reynolds are having sex, but it is implied that at least Gene Hackman and Liza Minnelli are together at some point, and Burt Reynolds and Liza Minnelli are together at some point in the same film, yet 100%. Gene Hackman and Burt Reynolds are not turned off by or upset at each other for that fact. And yet we're never given the idea that they are, and I would say that they don't give us the idea, and I will be curious where you guys come down on this. Do they ever overtly or maybe inovertly say they were together sexually at the same time?
Yes.
You mean the 3 of them?
Right. All together at the same time.
I think when they wake up in the bed, it's not too far to go, okay, they were all naked, and the 2 guys were probably each trying to take their turns with Liza Minnelli, and whether or not what happened between them is going to be shrouded in the mists of our own cultural assumptions.
Oh, I didn't think there was any ambiguity about that. I thought when you see after she gets out of bed, you see the two of them like next to each other, just completely casual. It's just like, they ain't have any clothes under there. Their bodies are right next to each other. They are completely comfortable. And so for me, that was saying like,
is that the moment, Cullen? Is that the moment?
For me, like that's when I understood that as they have all been intimate together. Whatever the terms are, like I'm okay with a little bit of ambiguity. I'm okay with a little bit of mystery. I understand because of the time it was made, they couldn't come right out. But I'm okay with it, just the fact that it's like this movie is like, this is their relationship and that's not the drama. So I'm okay with that.
I think there's this other version of dudes are cool with dudes, and dudes will, play, they'll all go shower after their football game or whatever, and they're comfortable with their bodies and they're not freaked out by other nude male bodies. And if it means we're gonna, be at different ends of this girl in a sexual encounter, there's a level of eroticism there that never actually crosses the line into acts of homosexuality. And I think that's the territory that's as close as they were going to go. That's as far as they were going to go in this movie, is saying maybe they went that far.
So Richard, I see where you're coming from with that interpretation, but I would say in this scenario with these characters, I don't agree. I think in this scenario, That's the way it's I think what I agree with Cullen. I think in this scenario, because Burt Reynolds is playing against type, I think that the case could be made because they're not both suave debonaires. They're not.
No, but just because it goes a little further than other movies, I don't think textually it's supported. I just don't. I don't think textually that interpretation is supported. I think, and I barely think my theory is supported. I think it's allowing people to go as far as they wish to go. I'm sure on the part of Stanley Donen, he's like, look, if you want to picture Burt Reynolds and Gene Hackman fucking, you have the right. That is within the realm of the universe of this movie. But I'm not saying that happened, because I also think there are women who love the fantasy of two men interacting with her who never want to see those guys interacting with each other.
I think it's more normalized that women are into sexual fantasies with another man, two men, than it is for women to be into a sexual fantasy of two men together, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I think, there's a difference. And again, I mean, we're making we're thin slicing it, but that's
what this movie had to do, was thin slice it.
Yeah. I think there are women who are like, I would love two men showing me, desiring me, and servicing me at once. But if suddenly they looked at each other and started making out, now I'm like, what the fuck? Get back over here. I'm not into you doing that. I'm into the two of you. You doing me.
Yeah, it becomes immediately undesirable when the two men start showing each other affection.
I think that there are women who would feel that way. And then I think there are women who would be really into it, who would be like, oh, and then they start making out, and I can actually sit back and have half a glass of wine and relax for a minute and just let them finish each other off. And I can go grab a shower and, start watching TV.
I mean, whew.
It's getting pretty steamy.
It's getting real hot up in the Kulturecast.
But what I understand from what you've been saying, Richard, is that you're already working on a pilot for a extended series remake of Lucky Lady, in which Liza Minnelli is going to have a cameo. And when you bring her in for a meeting, you're going to tell her that she has a mega fan who loves her in the original film. And in her many other films, including Rent-A-Cop with Burt Reynolds. And you would just love to get an autograph, a little note where she says, to Cullen, 1, 2, 3, 4, love Liza. That's what you were saying, right?
Yeah, thank you for crystallizing.
I mean, Richard, I think at this point you've almost signed yourself up for this.
In my remake, the 3 stars are going to be Liza Minnelli, Jason Bateman, and Will Arnett.
Wow.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I get it. I'm not sure Cullen has that.
I don't. I mean, I know Jason Bateman was in that TV show,
Arrested Development.
Liza was in that. And the funny thing about that show is I didn't see that until a couple years ago because all my friends that knew I loved Liza Minnelli never told me she was in that show. All you would have had to do to get me to watch that show is like, Liza. And I'm like, I'm there. Yeah. Why did it take 10 years for me to like learn this?
Yeah, it's cruel. It's cruel.
My friends clearly don't know me, even though
I know how much you love Liza Minnelli because you've said it multiple times in reference to this film.
Well, you listen. You're a very good listener, Chris.
Wow.
Look, I'm a Liza. I would watch Cabaret almost any night of the week. I would watch Arthur almost any night of the week. And, and it's like at a certain point you have to go, I guess I'm a Liza Minnelli fan,
She's a stone cold fox in this movie too.
She has so much charisma. It's just
I know, right?
I love her mom. I'm a huge Judy fan. And she has so much of her mom's personality. I think her mom would have loved this performance. And just hearing her sing the songs, just like her energy, she has something, and it's a glow.
Yes, I agree. And I believe in movie chemistry. I believe that Burt Reynolds and Sally Field in Smokey and the Bandit have chemistry that bouncing off the walls.
Here comes a butt. I feel a butt coming on.
I believe in this movie, Liza Minnelli is a charismatic performer, as is Burt Reynolds, as is Gene Hackman. But I'm going to tell you that I'm not sure they have chemistry with each other. I'm not sure I'm feeling a lot of Burt Reynolds Liza chemistry. I'm feeling even less Gene Hackman Liza chemistry. I might even say that the Burt Reynolds Gene Hackman chemistry is probably the most potent chemistry in the movie. And even though they didn't go overtly into, romantic chemistry, they certainly seemed like buddies. I would love to see the buddy movie with the two of them.
I loved on rewatch. I mean, I've lost track the number of times I've seen this. As I think I mentioned earlier, the thing that sort of jumped out to me was like, as soon as Liza exits the picture at the hotel, these two guys that, were putting on these macho airs, sort of like vying for her, immediately just come together and just like, how are we going to get her back? And like, they don't talk. There's no like talking like, maybe we should be on the same side. It's just like, it's immediate. It's implicit. Yeah. And I just loved how it's unspoken.
Yeah, you love it. I mean, again, I could have used 10 more minutes of just them in scene. Every time they're doing scenes together, it's funny. It's the comedy is there. The buddy chemistry is there. Yeah, that I responded to for sure.
And I think I agree, Richard. I think that Gene and Burt in the film together have better chemistry than either one of them do with Liza Minnelli. But Liza Minnelli's character, herself, the character, is the strongest character in the film. Like, the relationship between Burt and Gene is fantastic, but Liza Minnelli's character, I mean, there's a reason that this film's original ending, I guess, was for those two to die and for her character to be essentially recounting the story later in life. And Liza Minnelli and Burt Reynolds both went to bat for that ending. They wanted that ending.
Oh, that's terrible.
I agree.
I like this ending much better.
I mean, I get it. I'm sure they were seeing something that we aren't, or they were feeling something, or maybe they were just like, I want these characters to be dead. I'm done with this, whatever. But that would have totally underserved this movie. And we would have been talking about how awful the ending of this movie was if that had been the ending.
And as much as I love Uno, Dos, 3, 4, I would love for her character to have been 10% less ditzy and 10% more, I was always the brains of Harry's bar. And I am obviously smarter than these two guys. Like, I have no trouble believing she's smarter than Burt Reynolds, but only a little. I never thought she was smarter than Gene Hackman. And I think I would have enjoyed the movie a little more if I felt that she was just a half a step of both of these guys.
I think she's smarter than Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman is good with a gun.
Yeah.
That's about the only thing he brings to it.
And his like braggadocious nature. Because he's braggadocious where Burt Reynolds isn't. I mean, in that scene with Jeffrey Lewis where they jump overboard, I mean, Burt's the first one in the water. And then Gene follows after. And Gene, I mean, to your point, Cullen, when he's rowing the boat, Burt is long gone. He's swimming for the other boat. And Gene is still sitting there, taunting Jeffrey Lewis. I mean, Gene Hackman in this film Burt Reynolds plays the straight man to Gene Hackman's character in a way.
Well, I would say, but here's the thing. It's like Burt Reynolds is playing the bimbo to a large degree, but then so is Liza in a weird way. So it's like you've got these two characters who neither one of them are being presented as the brains. And then Gene Hackman comes along, and even though it's not like he then pulls them all together, he does seem to know a little bit more about what he's doing and at least what their odds are. And I just would have loved a little more canniness and a little less, but I think we should, when she suggested that they go for round two, it's like, okay, now we've made 30,000. Now I want to make $500,000. If she had been if I could have believed just a little bit more that she had the power to pull it off, and the two of them are like, we think she's crazy, but if we don't get in on this, we're missing out on $500,000. Okay, you need us. You're the brains, but you need us. Okay, now we're 3 equal parts of this, or at least Gene Hackman and Liza are. Let's make a plan.
Yeah, I mean, I as I said, I like the fact that none of them are all that smart, and I like the fact that it kind of has this like magical cartoon nature. It's like they sort of stumble into this.
Yeah.
They should not survive. You see the bullets that Jeffrey Lewis and the machine gun are shooting go right around his feet. And
then they wanted to kill him at the end of the movie. Like that would have made no fucking sense.
No.
Right?
It would have been horrible. I didn't know that was the ending that they wanted. I love the magical vibe. And that's why I was comparing it to a musical where there's this like amount of unreality and the characters sort of float through this. And I think that's what Donen brings to it. And, some of those dramatic things it doesn't quite have that dramatic weight, but for me, it works.
And there were 3 songs. She sang 3 songs. And so it was like, it's like 25% of a musical. Like add 5 more songs and make it a musical then, it's like, again, I think that also lent it a feeling of, wait, what are we right now? What are we?
And that's what I love again.
And at this point, it's not even worth complaining about. But yes.
What's funny? If it had been a musical, you probably could have gotten away with Burt Reynolds and Gene Hackman's characters being right. Like then,
a more overt wink to the audience, and had tons of cover.
Oh my God!
So one thing I did want to mention, since we're talking about sort of Burt's relationship with other actors, just in terms of like acting. Since this is now Burt Reynolds Month coming to a close, one of the things that I really love about Burt, and I think he would even say, is a big part of his career and his life is his working relationships. So much so that his memoir is all about those friendships. Each chapter is about somebody in his life. And through talking about those friendships, he tells his own story. And he even says in the book, I could have had a better career with more prestigious movies. I just wanted to make movies with my friends. And you do see from movie to movie, so many people behind the scenes or in front of the camera reappear. And, he works with, Liza again years later. Hal Needham's the stunt guy on this movie, uncredited. But that is something I really like about Burt, is that from movie to movie, he has really good chemistry with other actors. And I that's just like an appealing part of him to me.
I'm going to say something right now that I think the 3 of us, everyone who's ever been on this show, can appreciate. While I had never heard that quote attributed to Burt Reynolds, that is the kind of spirit that I bring to this show. That's the kind of spirit that I bring to the things that I do. Because, I mean, again, my success in my life is measured by the relationships with people that I have, not by the amount of money that I have in my bank account. And I've said that before, and I'll say it again, and it's the truth. If you spend any amount of time talking to me off this podcast, the person that I am sitting here talking right now is more or less the person that I am in real life. It is not some act. It's not some fucking charade. I don't sit here and pretend to be something that I am not for the sake of entertainment. And to hear Burt Reynolds, who brought such a power and strength to his roles and a charisma to his roles, To hear him say that and to have him write his memoirs that way speaks to who he was intrinsically as a person more than almost anything else in his life could. Because, I mean, the fact that this man defines himself by the relationships he had in his life speaks volumes about the kind of person he was outside of the industry.
So it's called, Burt's memoir is called But Enough About Me.
Wow, get out of here, man.
Is it good? I mean, it sounds like you loved it.
I think you would enjoy it. It is very Burt. It's lighthearted, it's casual, but he talks about all the people that we like, where it's just like you watch one of his movies, it's like, oh my God, this person's in it. Oh, this person's in it. It's like sitting down and hearing like some good stories from that guy.
Oh, there it is.
I mean, look, like you said, Cullen, in this industry, as we bring this month to a close with our good friend Burt Reynolds, which this is not the last time we're going to be talking about Burt Reynolds. So there's that, just out in the open, hanging and naked.
What, you're doing an entire Lucky Lady month in 2022?
Right. It cracks me up that in the industry, when you see people work together, unless they're being forced to, that is 100% sometimes, like almost by choice. Like when the same like 3 or 4 people work together, like that's probably because they wanted to, not because they were being forced to. Because I'm sure, Richard, you would echo this in the industry. It is a personal business as much as it is a business. And the relationships, people will go to bat for people that they would not otherwise because of a personal relationship or connection with them. That is important.
The only time you see people who deeply hate each other working over and over is when the demand of the franchise
is so strong.
Yeah, it's like, okay, like Harrison Ford didn't hate Mark Hamill, but like if they did, but it's like, but you have to make 2 more Star Wars movies.
Harrison Ford just hated everybody else.
Right. But in television shows, you will often, I mean, you have seen TV shows where the 2 leads despise each other, and it goes on for years because you can't get out of it. It's just like, well,
I mean, do you have any examples? I'm curious.
Circle back to a franchise, Cullen, that you have direct knowledge of. Think of the Fast and Furious franchise. There are 2 actors who cannot be on screen together anymore, and they have figured out a way to write themselves out of that corner. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Vin Diesel have straight up said they don't like. They've never said it overtly, but it's an open secret that they do not like one another.
Is that real? Because
yes, that is.
So it's not manufactured.
If it's manufactured, then giving The Rock his own movie and him not being in the next 2 Fast and Furious movies is just a strange coincidence.
Interesting. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
not cool, but like, because I wish they got along. But
sure, I think the people who make those movies wish they got along too. As I'm going to give you guys the final word here on Burt Reynolds Month. Was this a success? What's the final thing? I'll give Richard the floor first, and then I'll give Cullen, the man who put up another month, 2 months in 1 year, put up with me having to help program 2 months. Richard, what would be your final say on Burt Reynolds Month for the Kulturecast?
My final say is that my respect for him and his range, which I was vaguely aware of, but now having seen it play out, makes me want to see more Burt Reynolds movies for sure. And I'm impressed with him as an actor in everything I've seen him in, even if I'm not entirely impressed with the final product.
Cullen?
Yeah, I think it's been fun. It was nerve-wracking for me because I something that one loves very deeply or is invested in, it can be a little nerve, especially this film, because it doesn't have a lot of people like it. I honestly had no idea what you guys would think of it, but I think this was my favorite episode of the month. Maybe because it didn't have the sort of reputation or like a legacy. Like it felt like we could get really deep into the movie. I enjoyed all the conversations. I really appreciate it. It's been fun talking with everyone. So thank you, Richard, for co-programming. Thank you, Chris, for facilitating and inviting all the guests. I will continue to watch Burt Reynolds movies beyond this.
So I'm going to say something that's a little maybe unexpected. There was a moment where the 3 of us were talking where, for me, the fact that we were on a podcast melted away for a moment, which has not ever happened, maybe once or twice, but I can't remember in recent memory when that has happened. It's gotten close, but we were sitting here talking as if no one, and not like we were like being more open with one another, but more to the fact of what we talked about on this episode is not where I thought this was going. I wouldn't have been able to tell you that we would have had a conversation about toxic masculinity on the last episode more than having a conversation about, monogamous versus polyamory versus all. I mean, we talked about sexuality in general in this episode in a way that I think is, this is my opinion as a hetero-facing bisexual guy, just so I can make sure to cover all my bases. To me, this is some of the most interesting conversation I've ever had on this show. And this is probably, right now, I will say this with absolute certainty, this is going to be either my favorite episode of the show for a long time, or my favorite episode of the show until we talk about this again, which may never happen. So this will probably be an episode that I point at for certain reasons that may seem completely unrelated to the film, because the conversation that we had here could stand on its own without the film. And that is something that I don't think anyone in this conversation thought could happen, not because we're untalented, but because I didn't think the conversation would go as far as it did, and I'm glad that it did, because it's an important conversation. It's an important conversation to have.
I agree.
I agree, and I thought it was super. It was super great to be able to have it with you guys in a way that I knew would be interesting and not immediately, descend into either stupidity or defensiveness.
Yucks.
So, and I think we should. I want to do another theme month. Like we got to. I don't know who wants to do it, but we got to do pick another actor and go. Okay, let's look at some of their stuff. So. I don't know when, but I want to do it again.
See, look at that. It'll turn you into a podcaster yet, Richard. Yeah. But here's the thing. This is the end of Burt Reynolds Month. I think we're all in agreement. This movie, you should watch this movie. Come to this movie with an open mind. Because, again, I think that's the best way to come into any movie, frankly. And we may have put some expectations. I don't think we put any expectations on this movie, actually. I think what we described as a movie that is open to several levels of interpretation or angles of interpretation.
Yeah.
And Cullen, I can't thank you enough for turning me on to a movie that I literally never would have watched. That is, without a doubt, a film I can tell you with absolute certainty would never have crossed my mind.
Well, I'm very glad you both watched it, and I appreciate the seriousness with which you discussed it and analyzed the different elements of it.
And I want to watch it again, frankly. I want to rewatch it. And I know that there's going to be a lot of people who want to watch this movie. And they should. And it's going to be a little hard to track down. Shout Factory released it in 2011, so you can find that if you are so inclined. So on that note, let's take a break and we'll play a preview for the first Kulturecast of August. So look at that. He's got the DVD right there, Richard. You don't even have to look very far.
Got the soundtrack in the next room.
Wow.
What was it?
Of Lucky Lady.
Oh, Lucky Lady. I thought it was for next month. Oh, no. Okay, there you go. Nice.
So, on the next episode of the Kulturecast, we are going to be talking about a film from television. It is called Murder Can Hurt You. It is a parody of such television shows as Kojak, Columbo, other things of that nature. It is a television movie because next month is all about films that come from the land of television. They are no less movies than films that come out in theaters. And if you think that, we're going to change your opinion right quick now. So that's what we're doing next month. Until then, Richard, where could people find you if they want to harass you about your terrible opinions on things?
No, I hope they don't do that.
It's Twitter, man. They're going to do it whether or not we ask them to or not.
You can find me on Twitter at Richard Hatem. And I am still finishing up work on the final episodes of season 3 of HBO Max's Titans. So watch the first 2 seasons on HBO Max or on TBS. And season 3 begins August 12th. So get ready, bone up on the first 2 seasons, and then swing into season 3 when the Titans go to Gotham City.
Finally?
Oh, ho, ho.
Maybe we'll see. Who knows? I need to catch up on your show, Richard. What about you, Cullen? Are you still behind over there at Pulp Serenade?
So I finished the thing I've been working on all month, which was an introduction to 2 Peter Rabe novels that are being reprinted by Stark House Press. It should be out later this year. I don't have a pub date. But Peter Rabe was he emigrated from Germany in the 30s because of Nazis, and wound up getting a PhD in psychology, but then he switched to writing crime novels in the 50s paperbacks. And they are reprinting his first paperback, Stop This Man, which is about a guy who has heisted a large amount of gold. Unfortunately, the gold is radioactive. So as he crisscrosses the country trying to get to LA to sell it, he leaves a trail of people with radiation sickness behind him. And that's being paired with his novelization of Tobruk, which, to your point, Chris, about TV movies are every much, movies. Novelizations are also a heavily underrated art form. And his novelization of Tobruk the movie is just, it's so much deeper and so much more intricate, and he adds so much to the movie. It's its own thing. It's amazing. So that's what I was working on all month. So I'm still at pulp-serenade.com, but I have not written anything for it in a while.
I was about to say, sometimes the novelizations are the easiest and or only way for the public to get their hands on the original script, or at least a version of the script that it didn't end up on screen, that's
a good point.
Yeah. I mean, or you get to hear, the example that I always use is the Revenge of the Sith novelization, which gives you a characterization of Darth Vader right as he becomes Darth Vader, which is very strange and haunting because you never get that in the films, but in the book they give it to you. And it's worth it just for that weird little bit because it's an insight into the character that we would never get for the longest time. So novelizations are cool. I'm game with novelizations.
This one, I don't know if you all have seen Tobruk. It's about trying to blow up Rommel's fuel supply. The movies doesn't, it's a largely visual action type movie. So there wasn't much for him to work with in terms of turning it into a novel. So he's just it was a creative challenge because I had to fill in all the blanks, and he fills them in very interesting ways.
Yeah, I love novelizations. So I'm glad you echoed the TV movie thing because I know TV movies get not a bad rap, but they're just in a weird spot. So hoping to change some opinions next month. As for me, Kulturecast.com is where you can find this show. Stachiw.com is where you can find me. Patreon.com is where you can find the show's Patreon if you want to give us $1. If not, cool, I get it. There are bonus episodes, doing a bonus episode every month. This month's Burt Reynolds movie bonus episode was Mr. Bean, a film that he's in for 2 minutes. But we got to talk about Rowan Atkinson, which, Rowan Atkinson's amazing, so...
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. So there's a positive. But as always, big thanks to Richard and Cullen for programming the month, for being here the entire month, for giving us some of the best shows of this show's run. Almost back-to-back episodes. The last episode was really good as well because of the conversation we had on that one. So I thank you guys immensely for that. And we'll catch you on the next episode.